It's time for politics, pop culture, and proud pro-American conservatism. Strap yourselves in, grab a coffee. It's time for the Chris Salcedo Show on the Voice of Texas.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving.
You made it to the program. The telephone number for us when we get to it, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. I just saw some economic news here in Texas. Elon Musk is touting a brand new lithium battery facility that is the state of the art, better than communist China's. And it's right here in South Texas. I'll get to that story, but it's of economic matters that I want to speak of right off the top because of the fluctuating schedule, folks. This is how we drew it up in the playroom. But speaking of playroom, we have a new national champion in college football we'll get into as well. But I want to bring in our man over in Davos, believe it or not, the World Economic Forum, folks. We have an inside guy, our guy in Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. Sir, welcome. Happy New Year.
Hey, Chris, Happy New Year. And I'm sitting here looking at the snow right now in Davos, Switzerland. And at this conference, the president is coming tomorrow for a much anticipated speech. And Chris, this is my first time here. And what is happening, Chris, which is, I think, really exciting, is this now is a forum that probably 5 years ago, someone like me would not have been invited, surely 10 years ago. And I say someone like me, a grassroots conservative, a person who talks about his faith and leads on that issue as well, and, you know, supports all the policies on pro-life and anti-DEI and ESG and all this woke nonsense. And what President Trump did this time is create and help create with partners here the USA House. And what I mean by the House, in a normal world, you might call it a pavilion. So the World Economic Forum, which was always seen as elitist and a relatively small group of people who gathered, country leaders, the top business leaders and, you know, thinkers, you know, in the world, and they were kind of detached from reality of real people. And so Trump, he was here once in his first term. This outside of the fenced-in area, outside of that area are these. Well, again, they could be called pavilions, but they're all kinds of special stations. So this is the first time ever we've had a USA House. I was there last night. I'm speaking there on religious liberty on Thursday morning. And it's to bring our values, our culture, our agenda, our capitalist ideas, and to fight against communism and socialism. And the president should be commended for saying, hey, we're going to put our stamp on Davos that America is the leader, and we're going to get that message out. So I'm part of that team.
All right. And is there any economics that Texas economics that will be talked about? Is your purpose there solely to talk about how faith is integral to America, and it's not something we're going to give up for the communist world?
Yeah, so that's my mission to speak on that issue, and they have various speakers. In fact, this morning they had Kelsey Grammer, you know, from Cheers, and
Wow.
you know, the Kramer show, because he's a staunch Republican and a staunch believer. He's had a change in his life in the last years, and so I wasn't able to attend his seminar this morning. A lot going on. There are 283 different seminars or opportunities to visit here in just 4 days. Yesterday, and I will be. I'm meeting with companies who are bringing jobs and investing more in Texas. Major investments, and you know, our job for myself and the legislature, the governor, you know, our number one job when you get elected is public safety, protect life and property. That's the number one thing we do. Secondly, it's to create a strong economy, lower taxes, good business environment, to create jobs, because that's the heart of any state or any country, to have the jobs, high-paying jobs for the people who live in the area that you oversee as a governor, lieutenant governor, a legislator, or a president. And the president, of course, is very pro-business and bringing jobs to America. But let me tell you what, we're the leader in the world. We've been the leader in new job creation, I think now 10 out of the 11 years. we are the place, and everybody here. I've had more requests for meetings than I can take because of time schedules, but I'm also doing other things. Last night, I got in here in the afternoon, and I went to a gathering of a group that's been coming here for 26 years that opposes communism and socialism, and that was very interesting. And then I went to the Polish House, and they had representatives from Ukraine, Estonia, and Poland. And the title of that seminar was Keeping Europe Free. They're very worried about Putin going into other NATO countries and pushing into other countries, very worried.
Yeah.
And then I finished the evening at the USA House on a faith-based opening. And then today, I was the leader on the dementia bill in Texas, as you know, Senate Bill 5. I don't normally have bills that I can say are my priority, but this is the one that I created, and the voters passed it almost 70%, almost 7 out of 10. And we are now the dementia research leader in the world. So I went to it, and there are people from all over the world here. So I was on a panel today talking about dementia research, which impacts millions of Texans and millions of families in Texas. And real quick on that, and then I'm going to an event, Saudi Arabia event, which I'm interested in hearing about tonight, and then I'm going to an event with Qualcomm that does a lot of our infrastructure and technology in Texas. So it's nonstop, and it's really good. But on the dementia issue, Chris, not only did we get 70% of the vote on that, and that's the investment of $3 billion over 10 years, $300 million a year. The reason you do it for 10, you can't get the top researchers in the world to move to Texas and bring their research, bring their labs, and build their businesses here unless they know that funding will be steady. We've done it for cancer for the last 10 years, and we renewed it. It creates jobs and great research in cancer. And so we want to expedite research into this terrible disease that impacts the average age of a person getting dementia is 72. The average years they live after getting it is about 8 years. But for a person that has dementia, which is Alzheimer's, the major driver of that, you start seeing the signs 5 and 8 years out. And so we need to tackle this. And so what's interesting, I just did a very extensive poll because it is a primary year, the biggest poll I've ever done in Texas to see where Republican voters are on a wide breadth of issues. And with women, dementia is either the first or the second most important issue to them.
Wow.
Dementia strikes women more than men. And, it's a mix of course, as people get older, it becomes the disease they fear more than heart failure or cancer. So it's very interesting. It's been overwhelmingly received in Texas. Of all the bills, Chris, I've authored and ideas I brought forth, from ultrasound, saving babies' lives, to constitutional carry-on and other Second Amendment issues, and getting rid of DEI and keeping men out of, we were the first in 2017 to get men out of ladies' bathrooms, and we led on that and got beat up over that. But I've never had a bigger response to anything than I have to the dementia. And people also like the $200,000 homestead exemption and getting rid of school property taxes.
Yeah,
so
there's
we're
that.
the leader on that, and so I'm going to be here. Go hear the president tomorrow, and I'll do my presentation on Thursday.
Well, okay, so that was you. Let me right where I wanted to go, folks. Our guest right now is Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick of the great state of Texas. He's in Davos, Switzerland, for the World Economic Forum. The president has been setting, Governor, a new tone, not only here at home, but abroad, in particular as it pertains to America's economic interests and our national security interests. And some of those are aligned. Greenland, for example. You mentioned there's a different atmosphere this year because of President Trump. What do you expect to hear from the president? I know he probably hasn't given you a preview, or maybe he has, but what do you want to hear from the president when he takes to the podium and talks to these global elites?
Well, in the 12 years now, I guess it's been getting on to 12 years that I've worked with him as his campaign chair and now as chair of the Commission on Presidential Religious Liberty, and all the projects that we work on in Texas, from the border issues to every other issue you can imagine. I will tell you, Chris, I've probably gone to, dozens of his speeches in person. They're all they're all, you don't know what you're going to get till you hear it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in the teleprompter at but he always goes off script.
Right.
He will react to the audience as they react to him. I think Greenland is going to be a big part of his remarks tomorrow. Don't know that, but I think that. And I'm here at the invitation of the White House. The White House called about 2.5 weeks ago, and said, we're expanding our USA House topics to faith. And since you're our chair, we'd like for you to come. And so I said, absolutely. But Chris, I think that, I saw a poll that 75% of Americans are not for us expanding into Greenland. And I'm surely not going to, President can speak for himself, and I'm not, I'm not going to make a case for it, but I'll say this to you, that people don't understand the dynamics of Greenland
Yep.
to the security of our country.
Yep.
There are only 56,000 people living in a country that is the size of Texas and Alaska combined. 80% of it's covered in ice, but it's strategically in the Arctic, where Russia and China can take advantage of us and put us in a very precarious position. And NATO, even though they've been asked and said they were going to do something to help guard it against any type of invasion or takeover from Russia or China, they've done nothing until the last week. They sent some troops over. So people need to understand this is not about trying to colonize Greenland and take it over. This is in our best interest. There's no one there to protect it, and if we don't do it, or get NATO to do it, and have a joint action, the Russians and the Chinese will have a they'll have a little edge on, not a little edge, a big edge on.
Big edge.
It's part of our Golden Dome to protect America from missile attacks. And with the ice cap melting a little bit up there, the routes are getting shorter for shipping. We can't let our biggest enemies control something that sits right above us. So the media has educate. What's the word I'm looking for?
Misinformed. Yes.
The public.
And misled. Yes.
And so I don't know what the final result will be, but I think NATO is awake to the fact that we're not going to sit there and let the Russians or the Chinese take that powerful position from us.
Yes, and if you look at what Denmark has done to the natives who live there, I mean, you probably heard the stories, and I had it confirmed yesterday. The Inuits, who are native to that island, the biggest island on planet Earth, the government of Denmark forced sterilization on those people, to which they're now having to pay. I think it's what is, and this goes right back to our religious discussion, $46,000 in settlement. That's what it takes, stripping a woman forcibly of being able to have a child. That was Europe's solution to their problem in Greenland. And of course, as you pointed out, Governor, paving the way for America's enemies to compromise our national security, not to mention the natural resources and what the Arctic exploration is going to mean for any country who gets there first. So
we already see China and Russia
yes.
in other areas in the Arctic trying to make a major play in those areas. And I happened last night to this event I went to about pushing back on socialism and communism in the world. I just happened to meet the former First Lady of Iceland. I had no idea who she was, and she came up to me and she introduced herself. Whenever it's amazing, whether we're in a restaurant or wherever we are, people just love Texas. I mean,
yes.
If you're from Texas, people love Texas. And but she said to me, the former First Lady of Iceland, I cannot, forgive me, remember her name. It was very loud in the room.
Right.
But she said, and I don't think I could pronounce it if I did, but she said, the living standards in Greenland are just terrible.
Yes.
They have nothing. Their health care is terrible. You hear these people, no, America, stay out of Greenland. He said, but it would be the greatest thing that ever happened to them and would improve their lifestyle. But again, 56,000 people living in a place that's 80% covered by ice and bigger than Texas and Alaska combined, and sitting there ripe for the picking for China or Russia. And this is something like people say, I never even thought of Greenland before. And the president is very smart, and he's protecting us on our south end with Venezuela and getting the Maduro out of there and sending a message to South America. I think we'll see something on Cuba. And you look at Greenland, this president is changing history and changing our future and trying to protect our children and our grandchildren and generations to come. And I'm sick and tired of the media and the Democrats and some Republicans beating him up on that. He's trying to keep us safe for the long haul.
Yes, and restoring what it is to be an American, having our government work for us for a change instead of every other Tom, Dick, and Harry on planet Earth. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, any other parting words you want the folks to know in Texas before we say goodbye?
No, we have an election coming up for on the 3rd, and I'm on the ballot with everyone else, and we need a big turnout. And I expect us to have a big turnout. We have so many competitive races. I mean, the race at the top of the ticket with Paxton, Cornyn, and Hunt, and then you've got the new AG's race for whoever is going to replace him. And because Paxton's, whether he wins or loses, he's leaving office, so we need. And then we have the controller's office race, and then we have these 5 new Republican, hopefully, districts that we redistrict in September. And so that's 5 new areas of new candidates running. And I have 5 open Senate seats in the Senate. Some of them in our area. Dennis Paul is not opposed, so that's good. He's taking Mays Middleton, who's a great senator. He and Joan Huffman, who our great finance chair, they're both running for AG. And they're both great folks, and that's a competitive race. Chapoy's in that race, and Aaron Wright's is the other person.
Yep.
You've got 4 people running in the controller's race. So I really want to urge our voters to get out and vote. These are important positions. Obviously, the U.S. Senate seat, but the Attorney General, the controller's race, it's important for people to get out and vote. And then, as I say, Dennis Paul will be the new senator from that area. That's a Republican district. He'll win in the fall. He'll do a great job. He's an engineer by trade. I like business people in the legislature because we do a lot of business. I don't have an engineer. I'm losing the one I have. Robert Nichols is retiring. And then I have other seats that are open too. Brian Birdwell is going to be going to the Pentagon, great senator. Brandon Creighton is now the chair of Texas Tech, so up in Montgomery County.
Wow.
Brett Ligon there. I've endorsed theirs. I've endorsed Dennis Paul. I've endorsed David Cook out in Bryan district out in Central Texas. So, and I have other seats around the state. So I'm busy at work every day working on those campaigns. I have my own campaign. I have 3 opponents, and I take everyone seriously. And this is going to be a big year for Texas.
Sure
a big
is.
year for America.
Did you get near our television last night before you went to do all your meetings?
Where I'm staying in this little condo, Davos is. I've never been here before. It is jam packed. Number one, 3,000 people come in for Davos, and outside of that,
I'll bet.
The people who don't have the credentials, there's another 5,000. So 8,000 descend on here. And everything is super expensive, super expensive. So we found a Christian lady and her family that were willing to open up their home to 3 of the speakers, myself included. So I'm right now. I'm actually sitting in their living room, looking out the snow, and so we're staying in a home here because there's just no hotel rooms, and they're just unbelievably expensive. It's a very expensive place to be, and so it's been a great experience for me. And I always like to visit with people who live here.
I asked because you missed. If you didn't get a chance to watch, you missed one hell of a national championship game last night.
Yeah, well, she doesn't have a television.
No, well, okay, well.
And to be honest with you, Chris,
yes,
kickoff time was 2:30 in the morning for me, and I got to the back to the condo at midnight, and I left Italy at 5 in the morning to go to the airport and took the train here. I was dead tired, and look. I'll just finish with this. Indiana, and I don't like the NIL, I don't like the portal, all of that. But Indiana, their coach, their players, and that quarterback, and his Christian faith, and how he looks into the camera, and I've seen it all season from him. Just an incredible story, and I looked at all the highlights this morning when I woke up. So what an incredible game
it was. Fernando Mendoza, and very, very open about his faith. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, sir, thank you very much. Our inside guy at Davos, we appreciate it.
All right, bye. God bless everybody.
All right, telephone numbers 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. Up next, I do want to talk with Russell about the national championship. It was great to watch some football. I saw things last night that I know I've probably seen calls like that before, but the coaching staff, the players left it all on the field, Mendoza included. Talk about that coming up next.